My name's Jack Davidson, and Kawa and myself have a farm forestry block here at the Aharua Valley. It's about 10 k's north of Hokitika. This property is about 70 hectares, and it's made up of about 40 hectares of pasture, a 7 hectare block of covenanted QE2 blocks, and the balance is in forestry. I think that works out about 24 hectares. I'm a builder by trade, and I have been fairly well involved in the native timber industry and the sawmilling and selling of native, and the native has been pretty dear to my heart. So then I got interested in exotics. I did swear black and blue that I'd never build out of exotics once, but however things have changed, and now I'm into planting exotic trees, and I'm promoting planting exotic trees over natives in some cases, which can be a bit of a problem. Anyhow, my general objective is I love growing trees, and hopefully I'll make some money out of it one day. I've had some disasters, as most people have in forestry, and one of my successes has been Cypress lusitanica, and this has done particularly well here. However, people who do farm and have stock have to be aware that any of the cypress species you can get abortion on animals, so you have to be aware of that. So you have to farm that sort of blocks according to good farming practices. I was a fan of macrocarpa. I used to sell a lot of native timber, and I always thought that macrocarpa would be the substitute for remu. However, macrocarpa has been a disaster here with canker, and I've actually cut out all my macrocarpa. There's still a couple of pieces left there, but I've found that the lusitanicas have been quite successful. I've got about 7 different types of eucalyptus as well as blackwoods, and I do like planting blackwoods in amongst species because as everybody knows or should know that blackwoods, robinias are all nitrogen fixers, and you'll find that other species amongst those trees seem to grow particularly good, especially eucalyptus. Well, this is one of my disaster areas, and I'm in the recovery mode. Several years ago we had torrential rain, and that may be amusing, and then we had a very heavy wind patterns after it, and we had a tornado come through here, and it sort of took a lot of this Pinus radiata block out. So what I've done here is I have gone through with the diggers, windrowed it, and I'm actually going to plant poplars on the windrows, and I'm going to grass all these areas in. Actually, they are GF 17, 16. I planted these trees in '93, and they were GF 16s and 17s, and I intend to log this block when they get at least to the age of 27, because I think that's about the best financial option for them.
Cool. Great stuff.
Originally all this country was just massive gorse and swamp, and what the common practices was in those days was to V-blade, and this is a good example of the original type of V-blading. You actually have a large dozer with a big snow plough on it, and it comes through and it forces the excess stuff up the sides, and that's where you plant the trees. And that was the thinking, and it worked fine until you get up to about 18 years old, 20 years old, and then we get this wind topple problem. What we're doing now on the coast is we're going away from that pattern. Just below this area there's very rocky and iron pans, and it's simply, the secret is the roots have just got to go down. If you don't get the roots down, then you're going to get topple. Generally speaking, on the west coast, if you're going to plant trees, you have to put the effort in and prune and go for high valued wood. Simply because we are at a major disadvantage here on the coast is that we have to pay extra freight for our cartage, and that makes it uneconomical. So you've got to put the time in and prune, get up to 6 metres or up around that mark to produce this high valued wood. On the west coast we don't grow very good structural grade wood, but we do grow good appearance grade wood, and we do have a high lustre in the finished product when it machines, and that's very well sought after. The main reason why we don't have good structural timber here is because we simply don't have much in the way of stress factors, and it's the stress factor that actually strengthens the wood in the tree. We get good rainfall, we have our temperature difference between winter and summer time isn't that great, and we don't, although I'm probably a bit of a hypocrite here, we don't normally have too much of a wind problem, and all those factors cause stress, and that's what actually makes your wood strong. And hence we do grow good dressing grade wood. Yeah, so part of my shelter belt thinking now is originally I planted a lot of flaxes, but now I've gone to willows and poplars, and I think farmers have got to think more about this in the future. And all I do is just go through and whack a bit off every now and then, and the sheep and I know cattle too, they just go and strip all the leaves off, and it's a good tonic, if you want to put it, for stock. Generally speaking, how I determine what I plant is get the old magical crowbar and drive it down, and if I can go down to about 600 quite easily, then I'll plant poplar, and if I can't go down that depth, then I'll plant willows. And it's quite simple. All you do is just cut them off and throw them out there, and the stock come and strip them down. And they're easy to transplant. You just take a bigger branch and cut it off, and then you can see some of the ones along the edge there, I just bang them down for pole driver and they come away quite easy. So I think we're going to get more of our extreme climates in the future, and this is one way of protecting myself from the droughts and all that. So before I showed you the willow tree as a tree that I recommend for farmers, this is the poplar tree. It's a poplar Kawa, and these are, I think, one of the better trees for the farm foresters to plant, especially for shelter, stock food, and also these are very good timber trees. And all this is just simply a cutting that I've taken and I've rammed it into the ground, and you can see that taking off, and all I'm doing now is just getting these cuttings like here, and I plant in a little protected area, and then I let them grow up and I replant them. So it's cheap, very effective. As I say, you get three different products from it: the fodder, the timber, and the firewood. It's a very good firewood tree as well. So I'll put a plug in for the poplar Kawa. Being a member of the Farm Forestry Association is it's about sharing information, and this is one of the greater things about it. You can go around to people's property and learn from their mistakes, and it's experience. You can't beat experience, and it costs you nothing to go and talk to people. And this is important thing about the Farm Forestry Association is that they've got the records, you've got people who've got the experience, and it's the association themselves. They put out a very good magazine. I'm a member of the Ornithological Society, which is studies on birds. I'm a member of Forest and Bird, and I'm quite passionate about creating habitat for birds. I think that our wildlife in New Zealand, New Zealand has one of the worst records in the world for the extinction of species, and I think that planting trees and helping our wildlife to keep going is very important to New Zealanders. Why do I plant trees? Well, it's a hobby. It's a bit of a drug, to tell you the truth. You get hooked on the bloody things, and you start to see what trees are growing and to see the development of them. It's a learning experience right through, and I get great pleasure from it. And I enjoy going to other people's property and see what they're doing, and then you think, oh well, maybe I could do that here. And of course there's income and there's practical uses for it as well.